And thank you so much for joining me on the way forward. I'm Eddie Francis, and I am pleased to be joined on the continuation of my 504 Influencer series, Chris Connor, who is New Orleans Pelicans influencer, and he's with Boot Crew Media. Now, if you haven't checked out Boot Crew, you got to check them out. You got to follow them because they do some really good analysis of what's happening with the Pelicans and also with the Saints. But and all the other sports. But the other thing is they can be hilarious at times. And so sometimes I'm like, what is wrong with these people? But Chris, man, thank you so much for joining me on the show. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's an honor to be here. I like being um a part of shows like this. I'm so often in sports analysis mode, when I do these, man, being able to kind of step out and kind of talk from a different perspective, on your platform and supporting, I think the good work that you're doing and bringing like a gumbo of different people from different backgrounds in the city to kind of talk about their journey of sorts. Like it's happy to be here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So I got to tell you, so with Chris, Chris is actually in Chicago. He splits time between Chicago and New Orleans. And so that brings me to the first question. I mean, tell me about your background. Let's get to know you. So where
Yeah.
did you grow up, school, the whole deal? What's the story of Chris Connor?
Yeah, man. So I grew up in the East, the old East. I gotta say, I was born in '92. I went I went to Lake Forest, Montessori. It's moved now post storm, but
Yeah.
it was in a different part of the city. But yeah, man. I grew up in the East. I spent time pretty much from there and in Gentilly. Had some family over there, so that was pretty much at my young age while I was going back and forth. I was even in the East, Gentilly, and then I had a friend every now and then I'll go visit that lived in a project, and you know uh, that was an experience. But at that time, being young, coming for a while, where I was at. But yeah, man, yeah, so from there, right around middle school, I think there was a plan. So I was gonna go to I don't even know if Prince of Peace still around, but I was supposed to go to Prince of Peace, and I was telling you, Eddie, beforehand that my goal in my mind was that I was gonna go to McMain for high school. Like that, I just what I told everybody. Like I had a cousin that went there, and I was told Lil Wayne that went there, and that's all I needed at that age. I ain't need much more. That was all the motivation there. I heard the smart kids went there. All right, cool, McMain. But some things ultimately ended up changing. My mama is from Chicago, so she ultimately um, gave me an ultimatum. She decided that she was gonna move back to be with the other side of my family. So I was like, okay, and I went ahead. I thought that there was a chance I was gonna come back at some point full time, whether it was high school, whether it was college, but about a half a year later, it's Katrina hit, and that changed everything. So
Yeah.
I've been pretty much in Chicago. I got a little older, got a full time job, got my money situated, and then it was a little bit easier for me to kind of navigate back and forth. And now I kind of split time in the city any chance I get.
So that really begs the question. I noticed you on what was then Twitter. That was when I
Yeah,
noticed you and started following you. And I was really happy to see somebody giving a lot of energy to the Pelicans.
yeah.
And so I got to know with this New Orleans slash Chicago thing, most of it being in Chicago, how did you become a social media voice of the Pels?
Yeah, so my loyalty to New Orleans just never left. And I think, honestly, I think Katrina kind of played a big role in that because, being away, it was the way that people away from the city talked about New Orleans, like it was an afterthought. It really made if I wasn't already loyal and defensive, it made me super defensive afterwards. So it was like, whatever was happening in the city, I was gonna support 10 times over. It just so happened at that time, post hurricane, the Saints became, who they were. The Hornets at the time had Chris Paul. A year later, I believe they have their best year in franchise history. So they had some things all happening around that period. But my loyalty for the fan, I mean, I'm so sorry for for the teams, it just never left some of my finest memories. I can remember I was at the first official Hornets game when they came to the city. Like they play Utah. Like I
They
remember,
play the
yeah,
Jazz. Yep.
like I vividly remember being in the city. I can remember in my last year there, um, my school, elementary school, had an event there. They let us play on the court at the at that time it's called the New Orleans Arena. And I remember leaving out, and I'm seeing David Wesley pull up in an Escalade. Like
Oh man.
it just like it was so many vivid things that I remember in that part of time, the way the city was at, and on the same side as well, to where I just never stopped liking the team, supporting the team. That was sandwiched with my like of writing, my observations, my like to talk, my some of the dreams that I had in the broadcasting element of things. And it just felt like I think that the blogging era and the advancement of like the internet and the ways to talk about sports changed. Like you didn't necessarily have to take the same avenues and routes as everyone else did, or maybe people did in the past. And once I found that out, and I saw what social media was like from a Twitter standpoint, and what people, how people were talking about these teams, I was like, well, I should be able to do this as well. I mean, my perspective with the people that were, because I mean, at that time, Eddie, when I first started, it was just like Bourbon Street shots, so you talking Mason and Schmidt and Michael McNamara and Jake Madison. And then shortly after that, you get the Bird Wrights and, a company, Ali and Kevin and like it just, but it wasn't that many people. So it just felt like, I mean, I can at least try. And once I figured out it was something I could be good at, man, I just, I went full fledged into it, and here we are.
Yeah, man. So the thing that I always found interesting was that I saw this community of influencers growing, especially around the Pels.
Yeah,
And the entire time this is happening, people are saying, well, New Orleans isn't a basketball city. It's never going to be a basketball city. And to me, that's a yes and no thing. I mean, no, because the South is football first. That's just the
yeah,
South, period.
yeah,
But it doesn't mean that basketball. It doesn't mean the New Orleanians don't like basketball or don't care about basketball. That's the thing that's always
yeah.
been interesting to me. So, all right, let me ask you, the person who has been covering the Pels, who's been talking about the Pels, who's probably been one of the most vocal people about the Pels.
Mhm.
Um, Let me ask you: would you say New Orleans is a basketball city?
Yes, I think a basketball city with conditions.
Okay.
Like, um, actually, no, no. I would say that they're a basketball city. I think that the support element of it is the part that has the conditions. It's like
Yeah.
I can sit at home and watch something that isn't good.
Hmm.
I'm not going to spend money that I may or may not have to go out to a game consistently if I don't believe in the product, if you're selling me short. And this has been a consistent thing, and I don't believe in the message that's being put. Um, I'm not going to be blinded by it. I think the important part of this, like going back to your point about a lot of Pelicans, influencers and writers and content creators all coming up together all at once. Like I can remember that was all based off of for a short period of time, and that was the year that they got CJ McCollum. For a short period of time, everyone just being tired of the national media saying things that didn't make sense about the city,
Yes.
and it was consistent. And that was one of the things that was most important to me, Eddie, was that I didn't like, and it was kind of a big part of my journey, but I didn't like these people that had the resources to educate themselves, these people that talk so well about the city of New Orleans, the people that have seen how the Saints have been supported. But remember when there was a time when they weren't being supported the same,
I was
right?
about to say, listen, I was around for the Aints days. And
Yeah.
I was around when basically, what was the deal at one point? No, I'm thinking about Tulane football. But there was a point at one time, if you wanted to go to a Saints game, you could get a ticket real nice and cheap. And then you show up at the game. Your ticket might have been in the terrace,
You walk all the
but
way down.
but you just go ahead and walk down. Just walk down 50-yard line.
Yeah.
It was no big deal.
That's what it was like. So people forget that part of it. It's like people want something, you get to a point to where these generations start to age, and you know, my generation finally remembers of the Chris Paul era, finally,
Yeah.
right? Because that was the best, that was overall the best time. But then you start to see history repeat itself, and the franchise gets older. And now people are like, okay, well, now I'm no longer 15. I'm no longer 20. Like, I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 40s now. Like, I've seen this before. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm still going to support from home. I'm still going to watch. I'm still going to wish well, but I may not put my money into it unless you give me a reason for it. But a
Hmm.
basketball city, you go to City Park and ask people how they feel about basketball. Go over there off of Napoleon and ask them how they feel about basketball. It's people, go to UNO on weekends, or go to JJC, or you will find people that hoop and that love the game of basketball. It's just New Orleans just isn't a place where you can feed them anything, and all it takes is one moment of like now. When it comes to the Saints, you got them
Hmm.
for you have this fan base for a while. You have that you're not gonna worry about how many people are coming to the Superdome, because they're gonna be in there, you
Hmm.
know. And look, it may have been a long run, but you talking, um, from 2006 to about 2020. It doesn't even have to be that long for I think a Pelicans form of success. I think
Hmm.
some people are just asking for a couple of years in a row of consistency, of belief, of a plan, of standards, of principles in which they can see, and then they can invest into it.
Hmm.
And that's really all it is. But it's not about the city or the people.
Yeah. One of the arguments that I do make is that once upon a time, the Lakers almost left Los Angeles once upon a time. You almost never got actually the Showtime Lakers. You almost never got them. And once upon a time, the Bulls were struggling in Chicago. And right now, you have the Knicks in the finals. And my wife, who spent 10 years in New York, is walking around the house just going bananas because finally her Knicks are back in the finals. And
Yeah.
so I think that's the one thing that a lot of people lose perspective on. But there's another thing I gotta ask you, especially about the NBA itself. Is the NBA a diva league?
Sure, 100%, 1%. They've and to an extent, Um, I'd argue they've always been a diva league. Um,
Yeah,
they like, and if you don't want to use the word diva, then you use characters. But they love a good character. Character sells.
yeah,
Um, and if we're talking the history, if we're talking post Magic and Bird, I mean, that's what you got. The
yeah,
NBA loves characters. They love. I mean, even before then, they love characters. But history, supports characters. Anything salacious,
yep,
anything diva related, it sells. It gets people talking about the game consistently. And if they're good, even better. If they're great, if they're super talented, even better. But it just so happens that, I mean, when you look, yeah, I mean, and specifically over the past 10 to 15 years, some of the greatest players in the league, that's kind of who they are. And I don't think the NBA would apologize for it.
yeah, yeah. And the only reason I always refer to the NBA as a diva league because every time I would hear the national media talk about the NBA, especially when they talk about the Pels, there would always be this commentary of there's nothing in New Orleans. There's nothing to do in New Orleans. They don't have a Neiman Marcus. They don't have, the players can't live the kind of lifestyles they want to live. And my question is, well, how's the NBA surviving in Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, San Antonio? How are they surviving there? Um, and isn't there any player in the league who wants to play to win a championship rather than to go shopping? Because you're led to
I mean,
believe that the only reason the players play where they play is there's a Lamborghini dealership.
well, look, I mean, look, Eddie. I mean, I think that's just an excuse. Like if you know, there. I don't know if you've been to San Antonio, but I have. It ain't a whole bunch there. It's not a
Oh,
whole.
I've
It's
been there.
not
I used to live in
a.
Texas. I know.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's not a glamorous place, but guess what? They're respected as one of the best organizations in basketball. And you go through a run of dynasties and superstar talent and superstar, well, and Hall of Fame executives and coaches. You're not gonna care as much about San Antonio now. Look, Texas and and some of his neighboring cities in San Antonio, maybe it's a little bit different. I could see that. But Oklahoma City right now, I mean, it's not a great city to be. I mean, when Memphis was going through their run, the grit and grind era, people weren't talking about the city and what it wasn't. But now that they're bad, you see people complaining about where the players are staying. And so, man, look, at the end of the day, if the product is good and it's consistently good, the fans will show up, the resources will be there, renovations will happen, money will flow into the city. You ask these people that want to consistently bring festivals and events and Super Bowls and All-Star games to New Orleans if there's something to do in New Orleans. Ask them people why they consistently want to do that. It's not for any reason. Yes, is it as great of a city to live in as some of the other um, you know, is it Los Angeles? No. No. But it doesn't mean that there can't be some success here, even for diva. Like you look at Chris Paul. Chris Paul to this day, he ain't gonna say nothing negative about the city of New Orleans.
Hmm.
David West ain't gonna say nothing negative about the city of
Yeah,
New
he shows
Orleans.
love. He shows love
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah, and Chris has played in Los Angeles and in San Antonio and in other
Houston,
parts
yeah.
of California and Houston. He's been around. He ain't gonna say nothing bad about New Orleans. I think sometimes you need the right people, Eddie. As well. They can kind of look past that. But hey, football players ain't complaining. They come here. They come to New Orleans. They want to be a part of the Saints. They like it. It can't be that big of a difference. We can't be that big that big in sports. It can't be that big of a DNA difference between the athletes that play in the NFL and play in the NBA. I think if you put out the right product, you put together a good facility, you invest in what's out there on the floor, you invest in the surrounding areas, you put in Smoothie King reservations, you give a nice event center, everything else will take care of itself. But it has to start with that team that's on your shirt right now. Bring some level of consistency and respect, because that's what the fans and the people and the players and everybody ultimately want. When they see somebody wearing some Pelican stuff, you want people to laugh. You want people to be like, okay, yeah, salute to you. That just don't happen.
Right. Yeah. So when you do your content, what do you want people to feel or think about New Orleans when you do your stuff?
Oh man, that I like that question. I would say I want people to feel that a New Orleans fans, New Orleans, like there's a hunger for like the Pelicans just aren't an afterthought. People actually do care.
Hmm.
People just aren't into the storylines and the the stuff that that gets put on some of these newspapers for that are there, or some of these art some of the um tabloids and stuff like that. I think people care about the the details. They care about the analysis. They care about the actual game of basketball. They care about um just more than just the day-to-day stuff. It's like right now we're in the off season. A lot of people right now that create content are taking a break. They're using this time to go and enjoy their summer and just wait for the Pelicans to do stuff. I right now with a boot crew, and I was talking to Lito, who I hope you have on here. At some point, my dog Lito, and we talk about like this is one of my favorite times because like the Pelicans don't have a draft pick right now, and we talking about possible draft prospects. We're looking further into the game than just like we're actually trying to get better and learn more about the game. So, when people see the content that I put out, I want them to know that I'm not in this for clicks. I'm not in this for attention. I actually love the game and I love the city, and I think that's the marriage that I want. Is that I want more people to be able to see like as great of a love as I have for New Orleans, I'm no longer blinded by that to where I can't look at what I'm watching on the floor and be objective. And it will be the same if it's the other side. As much as I love basketball, I'm not going to be blinded by what I'm seeing on the floor, what the Pelicans are or aren't doing. I think it has to be balanced, and that's pretty much it. I like to have a good time. I like to laugh. I like to be silly. I don't want to take myself or what we doing too serious, but it's about the work. So um, that's what I want people to see when they look at something that Chris Conner is a part. We are really trying to work. I'm really trying to work and get better, learn about the game, continuing to reach more people and inspire more folks to talk about um, the game or whatever they want to do and build their own platform.
As somebody who is still very much attached to New Orleans, what is your dream for the future of New Orleans?
Mm. I want to see more creators. I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see more creators, Eddie. I want to see people that don't let their dream get distracted, um, and never get back to it. I want to see the person that maybe if their dream, that childhood dream that they had, if it got interrupted, they don't forget about it. Maybe they took a detour to do something else, but they come back to it. And I think, man, it's so many smart, intelligent people. I mean, you could, the city and the state ranks where it ranks in education, but it doesn't represent the people that I talk to. It doesn't represent the people that I run into. I know a lot of smart, intelligent people, including yourself. I know a lot of people that know what they're talking about. Good, good spirited people. They come from all different types of backgrounds. So, my vision is, a place where my dream was to be in sports some way, somehow. I'm not doing what I thought I was going to do when I was 10 years old, when I was 11 years old, when I was, putting games on mute and commentating the games. I'm not that guy, but I found my way into doing something that relates to it that still feels like a dream. It doesn't feel like a job. And even whether I do this as a side job forever or whether I do this full time, it'll always be that way for me. I'm gonna always keep it that way. And I think other people need to be able to experience that. You don't have to just go one or two routes, or you don't have to just go the route that you're being given or that people want to peg you in. If you got a dream, I want to see more and more people that chase it. I want to see younger and younger content creators use the social media tools that I didn't have growing until I got to high school and beyond. Like, use these platforms to where the creators are getting younger and younger and smarter. Use that to your advantage, because you could blow up whether you're in a small city or a big city just based off of the work you put in and how creative and smart you are. I want to see this next generation of New Orleanians, color, people of color specifically, dive into that. Don't forget about the dream. Don't let it get, interrupted for too long. Don't believe you can't do it. Continue to work towards it. At some point, come back to it. Keep it right there. Because you can't replace that. You can't replace that feeling, man. It's too genuine, and it's something that more people, I want to see be able to experience and love.
Yeah. I appreciate the compliment, man. Let me tell you, I am living proof that you really can fool some of the people some of the time. So thank you. I appreciate you. All right. So I got to ask you this one last
What?
question, because Jono Barnes, who I had on the show,
Whew.
is not much of a believer. Pels in 26 and 27. How you feeling?
Man, we got a long way to go, Eddie.
Oh, okay.
I
You
think
feel the same way.
yeah, I mean, look, I think we still in that purgatory land. I think that I gotta see, some of the moves that Joe, and company makes. I don't think that they're as bad talent wise as their record was last year. I
Yeah.
still believe that I don't think that they're that far away. I'm not ready to tell you that they can be in a situation where they're contending for playoff position, but I don't think that they're that far away. Some people feel like they're at the bottom, of the league in regards to hope and talent. I'm not there. I don't think that they're that far off. I think that there's some things within that can change. I believe that Jamal Mosley coming in raises your floor. But they have to switch some of they have to add more modern fits and bring more complementary parts together than what they
Mm.
have right now. And if they can do that with a couple of different additions, then I have no problem telling you that I think that they can be a playoff team, or be a playing, caliber team. I'm just not ready to say that yet because I feel like they have a couple roadblocks that they got to get past that we got to see play out. But yeah, I don't think that they're gonna be bad. I think that they're gonna win more games than they did last year, no matter which route they go. They don't seem to be looking like that they're trying to rebuild. So we'll see. We'll see. But I mean, you know what? I'm definitely more positive than Jono Barnes. 100%. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Jono is more positive than me about the Pelicans. He's probably more positive about the Saints than I am. That's totally fine. We on two opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm so glad you told me you had Jono on here, man. I mean, you wasted your time. You wasted your time having him on your platform. Such a beautiful platform, and you put Jono Barnes on it. It's terrible. But you know what? I'm here to clean it up. I come a week after that mess that ends up broadcasting this weekend. I hope everybody watches it. But don't worry. The week afterwards, you got me to clean it up, Jono. I hope you hear this, brother.
Oh, you'll hear it. Hey man, how can people follow you, man?
Yeah, man. So on Twitter, I am Impatient Bull.
Which that
On
screening, that username kills me.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those names that just never left me. I'm a Taurus. I was very. It just stuck with me. I don't know why. I kept it. So
Well, good, it's
Impatient
been
Bull.
explained. All right.
Yeah, yeah. There we go. I'm a Taurus. So for those that know, you know. Um, somebody was like, "Are you Native American?" Like I got that question before. I'm like, nah, I'm not necessarily. I was on Instagram, I'm Chris Connor 13, and on TikTok, I believe I'm Impatient Bull as well. TikTok really isn't a whole bunch of sports stuff on there. It's some music stuff I'm kind of exploring, but yeah, man, follow what we're doing with Buku Media. It's gonna be a fun summer. It's gonna be gonna be a hot summer. We're gonna be put out a lot of stuff, a lot of content, really, really daily, trying to figure out the next direction and predict some things and really, analyze this team from players that fit, good and bad, and do what we do, man. I mean, the one thing you can't say about the stuff that we put out, man, we try to tell you the truth. We try to be honest and we try to be ourselves, whether it's whether you like it, love it, or hate it, man. But as long as you watch, so that's it.
Outstanding. Chris Connor, thank you so much for joining me on the way forward.
Anytime, brother.